The average American household pays over $1,100 a year for water. That number is going up 40% by 2030. The utility companies already know this. What they don't want you to know is that Cherokee villages across the Appalachians solved this problem permanently with $30 of materials over 500 years ago. This system still works on any property, in any climate. By the end of this video, you'll have everything you need to build it yourself. Every month, a water bill arrives, a mandatory penalty for a centralized system you did not design. The Environmental Protection Agency warns that the average household cost of $1,100 a year will jump 40% by 2030. Yet, higher rates do not secure safety. The EPA reports that 12 million American homes receive water contaminated with lead. To combat pathogens, centralized utilities have pumped chlorine, chloramine, and fluoride into municipal pipes since 1910. Families pay premium rates for chemically treated water flowing through decaying networks. This vulnerability was not inevitable. Before public grids dominated, households successfully sourced and cleaned their own water. This localized knowledge was systematically replaced by a centralized model that turned clean water into a monthly subscription. For over 1,000 years, the Cherokee Nation managed 40,000 square miles of Appalachian territory. Across this vast region, individual villages of 300 to 500 people secured clean, reliable water without a single mile of centralized pipes or municipal taxation. In 1773, naturalist William Bartram traveled through these settlements and documented their water cleansing methods, noting the use of earthen vessels to settle and cleanse spring water through successive layers of gravel, sand, and charcoal. This was community-scale engineering, not folklore. Decades later, even after federal encroachment, Bureau of Indian Affairs field reports from the 1880s detailed these same localized clay-lined systems and communal spring catchments still functioning. When forced relocation fractured the Cherokee homeland, families carried this engineering knowledge with them. They rebuilt their filtration systems in new soils, proving that self-sufficient water security did not depend on a centralized grid, but on portable, reproducible science that outlasted the borders of their ancestral home. Traditional water cleansing relies on a physical cascade of natural materials. Coarse river gravel acts as the first barrier, blocking heavy suspended sediment and large debris. Beneath it, a layer of fine sand mixed with powdered river clay forms a dense, microscopic mesh that traps bacteria and suspended mineral particles. Next, hardwood charcoal, sustainably burned from birch or oak, uses its porous structure to absorb modern chemical pollutants and neutralize foul odors. The last stage requires no power. It uses an unglazed clay pot to establish a slow-drip passive filter. As water slowly passes through the porous earthenware walls, pathogens are physically barred from the clean reservoir below. In 2019, a study by researchers at the University of New Mexico evaluated this clay pot design under strict laboratory conditions. Their testing showed that the clay filter eliminated 99.7% of E. coli bacteria and removed 94% of toxic heavy metals, including lead. This performance directly rivals expensive municipal treatment facilities using nothing but earth, fire, and gravity. The absence of these clay systems from American homes was a deliberate policy choice. In 1914, the United States Public Health Service issued drinking water standards that began labeling private, localized water systems as unsafe. This regulatory push escalated with the 1948 Federal Water Pollution Control Act, which channeled public funding exclusively into centralized municipal grids. These laws systematically nudged families away from self-sufficiency and toward public infrastructure. Over the next century, federal policy turned water from a local resource into a $700 billion utility industry that relies on consumer dependency to survive. To protect this market, modern agencies like the EPA classify traditional clay pot filtration as unapproved. This bureaucratic label is a policy barrier rather than a reflection of safety. By establishing regulatory standards that only massive chemical treatment plants can legally meet, federal frameworks effectively marginalized off-grid engineering, ensuring that households remain permanently tethered to a monthly utility bill. Recreating this self-sufficient system requires basic components that bypass commercial water networks entirely. The structure depends on two unglazed clay pots, each 12 to 15 inches in diameter, costing between $8 and $14. 2 pounds of river gravel can be gathered from a local stream for free or purchased for $3. Clean sand costs about $2 for a 2-pound bag. 5 pounds of hardwood lump charcoal, pure carbonized wood without chemical binders, costs $6. A 5-gallon food-grade bucket serves as the collection reservoir. In total, the raw materials to secure a household water source cost between $28 and $35. This small, one-time investment replaces the endless cycle of rising utility rates. Assemble the system by drilling clean water requires exact construction. Start by drilling 6 to 8 quarter-inch holes into the bottom of the upper clay pot. Inside this upper vessel, layer the natural filtration media in an exact sequence. Begin with 1 inch of washed river gravel at the bottom to prevent the finer materials from escaping through the drilled holes. On top of the gravel, add 2 inches of fine sand mixed with powdered river clay. Next, pack in 1 inch of crushed hardwood charcoal and cover it with a 1-inch cap of clean sand. Place this upper pot securely onto the rim of the second lower clay pot, which serves as the clean water collector. The upper pot rests flush against the lower rim, allowing purified water to drip directly into the receiving reservoir below, sealed off from external dust. Pour collected rainwater or raw stream water directly into the top of the upper pot. The initial run through dry media requires patience, taking 4 to 6 hours to saturate the system and begin dripping. Subsequent batches process much faster, yielding clean water in 2 to 3 hours on a continuous cycle. Maintaining the filter requires very little effort. While the sand and gravel layers remain functional for years, the charcoal must be swapped out every 3 months to maintain chemical absorption. Replacing this layer costs about $1.50. Keeping long-term upkeep simple and highly economical. Historic Cherokee builders secured their water supply directly from the sky. They ran channels of bent birch bark from roof edges to direct rainwater into central collection basins. Today, a vinyl gutter feeding a food-grade 55-gallon drum replicates this layout for pennies. The math behind this harvest is simple and powerful. A standard 1,000 square foot roof yields 620 gallons of water from just 1 inch of rain. With 30 to 50 inches of annual rainfall, this setup captures up to 31,000 gallons each year. A typical family of 4 uses 14,000 gallons annually, making complete water independence workable in almost any climate. Beyond the southern Appalachians, the Haudenosaunee developed a parallel water strategy rooted in source protection rather than vessel filtration. Builders located natural underground springs on their properties and excavated the surrounding earth to access the clean flow directly. They lined these catchment basins with compacted, fine-grained river clay, sealing the fresh water source against surface runoff and soil contamination. This zero-cost engineering required only basic periodic clearing to remain functional indefinitely. In upstate New York, archaeological dating and continuous tribal use prove that these clay-lined Seneca springs have supplied clean water for 3,000 years. A one-time investment of $30 to $45 replaces a lifetime of utility dependency. With an ongoing monthly cost of $0, this system saves the average household $1,100 a year, keeping over $11,000 in your pocket over a decade. Before building, always test your source water and verify local regulations. This technology remains a credit to Cherokee engineering, a communal legacy that should be adapted with respect and tribal consent. Find the full system guide and diagrams at samuelgraywolfsecrets.com and prepare for the next look at soapwort, the plant Native women used for 10,000 years to create natural soap. As utility bills rise, self-reliance isn't history, it's survival. We were engineered into dependence, but the tools to break free remain. Find the full system diagrams at samuelgraywolfsecrets.com and subscribe as we next uncover the 10,000-year-old soapwort secret of Native women